Hey there, Sky Calby with Nifty Project Management. Today we're going to discuss Agile. You've almost definitely heard the phrase Agile used as it pertains to project management, but you might not know exactly what it means or how to execute it in your workflow. Well, simply put, Agile is a small batch project management methodology that can react quickly to changes in requirements based on feedback. When you hear that startup moniker, move fast and break stuff, well, the Agile is part of the move fast component of that, and debatably the break stuff too. As opposed to a Scrum workflow, which has clearly defined requirements and a clear path we're going to follow from beginning to end, Agile is kind of embracing the chaos of creation, and it's saying we might change what we're going to do next week or next sprint. In that case, you have to be able to react quickly based on the feedback of your clients. Because of that, it's a great way to get a product off the ground. You can pivot quickly if you realize certain features are being requested or are working really well, and you might not need to prioritize other ones quite as much. So let's take a look at Nifty here and get a sense of how we might use an Agile workflow. If you don't work this way exactly, but you work Agile, that's totally okay. In fact, we'd love to see how you do it, so feel free to post your video too. So first, we're going to lay out our sprints as milestones. Just so everyone's clear, a sprint is more or less just a bundle of tasks that we agree are going to be done by a certain time period. We plan out these sprints in advance because we know they're going to happen, but we can actually see that the amount of open tasks are going to dwindle as we go along. We have 2 open tasks in sprint 1, but that's because we have a whole mess of them already complete. We can actually open that up and check that out. We have 8 completed tasks, so this sprint is well underway, as we can also tell by the timeline here. Then we have 4 in sprint 2, 2 in sprint 3, 4 and 5 actually don't have any tasks yet. Again, we know we're going to be doing sprints then. We just might not even know what those tasks are going to be because we're waiting to understand what they need to be. So let's take a look at our task board here. Kanban is one framework in which Agile is executed. In simpler terms, it's one way to do Agile. Many ways to do it. You might be a list view user, and that's totally okay too. But what we have here is a really lean workflow. A to-do, in progress, review, and then we have like a release. And then after that we can say complete. Those are finalized and they're done. Well, a couple of things I want to draw attention to here. First is we have a list automation in place for myself here in the review list. That means any task that needs to be reviewed before it's complete needs to go through me. This could be a QA engineer for development. This could just be a product manager if we're going through design. It could be both in the same project. Actually, if you're a small team, you might have value in keeping your designers and developers right next to each other, whereas larger teams might find that they separate those 2 departments. And so as we're going to go through this workflow, we'll see an in-progress task move to review, and that's going to get added. I'm going to get added to that task because the task list automation, and then when they get complete, those milestones will update accordingly. And now this milestone is completely finished. So Agile is relatively straightforward in that regard. We're just going to make sure we know what we're working on, and because of this, there's a little bit of flexibility in our workflow. And so I'm actually going to take a peek into swim lane view because swim lane is a great way. Let's throw on our completed list first. Okay, so now we can go into swim lane and we can see here's all the tasks we've completed as part of sprint 1. And now we can really focus on sprint 2 because sprint 1 is complete. Well, we might find that a new task with high level of urgency is going to appear here based on our client feedback. So feedback task. Let's just drop that right here into sprint 2 and we'll see that here. And we can even give it that high priority tag because we deemed it high priority. So let's set that tag, high priority. Okay, and because of that, we might feel like sprint 2 now has a little bit too much going on in it. We might need to shuffle one of these tasks that aren't high priority, such as this one, to sprint 3. And now we can use swim lane to quickly juggle those tasks within the same list, but across milestones. And so when all of the tasks in our sprint 2 are complete, and you typically go through the funnel here in Agile, don't have to. It's just a common way to execute it, but I'm just going to complete these so we can see we're now ready to go with sprint 3 because sprint 2 is complete. So Agile is fairly straightforward. It's meant to be lean and move quickly. Again, if you do Agile a little differently, we'd love to see your video, so feel free to post it and make sure you bring it to us so we can check it out. Take care.